Welcome back guys to another Cyberpunk video. In this video I will show you all the working glitches in patch 201 that includes an infinite cyberware stats reroll that almost costs you no money and materials anymore, a new way to get into Konpeki Plaza even after patch 2.0 and 201 which is still working and really easy to do, an updated version of the money glitch that is also still working on PlayStation and Xbox with updated controls and ways to get more junk and do it more efficiently, but I also have some sad news because the Trauma Team minigame is no longer giving you infinite points if you just do the AFK glitch, which means it is now way harder or almost impossible to get the Trauma Team outfit and the flying UAV. I also noticed that we finally got our stash wall completely fixed, which means when you already had a character that collected all those fixer rewards, they are now finally correctly displayed on the wall. I also got 30 more cyberware capacity right after this update, which I think is also coming from the shards which you normally collect during playing the base game, which I now finally added to all existing characters. As a side effect I also got over 50 more health, but I think that is just coming from the fact that I'm no longer at max capacity. There's a new infinite cyberware reroll glitch that lets you update your cyberware as often as you want to, literally for free. You no longer have to use any of those rubbish stats if you don't like them. So what you can do in order to get rid of these rubbish stats is just buy a much cheaper cyberware item such as the subthermal armor and upgrade the subthermal armor for way less money and way less resources. Once you get rid of these stats, the game will reroll them and offer you two different sets of stats for all your cyberware items. The additional stats from driver update and shipware connoisseur will always be the same for every cyberware item, and you can simply reroll them as often as you want to by simply upgrading the cheapest possible item. If you still don't like the stats, simply repeat the process, buy more cheap cyberware, reroll them until you find a set of stats that you really want to use on your more expensive cyberware. In order to get into Konpeki Plaza after update 2.0 and 201, you have to do some different things. First of all, you can still park the car in front of the wall and jump over the wall on the highway. Then you have to use your car to glitch open the door. If this doesn't work immediately, you can also simply just park the car and then crouch between your car and the door. This should also trigger the door to be opened. Run through the ground floor lobby and to the elevator on the right side. When you exit the elevator, you can just go to the first office, jump on the lamp and then through a hole in the roof. Once you're on the roof, head for the exit gate, jump on the orange roof and then jump from roof to roof until you reach the very top. It is actually very simple and just as easy as before. Some of the later jumps are a bit more difficult, so you will need a couple of tries, especially here on the glass panel and especially the last ledge to the apartment, but all of this can be done with a normal double jump. The mana glitch can still be done by just duplicating and selling junk at the Dropbox, and I will exactly tell you how to do that. If you are lacking junk because you just started the game, you can just go to a junk vendor in Kabuki. This junk vendor is located above the Allen Street fast travel point. Just mark the vendor on your map or simply follow the path I am running here to get to the vendor at the very end. You can use this vendor to buy multiple stacks of junk items to start this process. This can be done as early as on level 3. However, you should only use one stack at the same time and go to the Dropbox with it. Put all your existing junk in your stash, because if you carry too much junk that might be worth millions, it will simply not work because it is too much to handle for the Dropbox. No matter if you try this with a Dropbox or at a vendor, you also have to make sure that you are in the junk tab, because the whole process will only work when you are in the junk tab. When you arrive with your small stack of items at the Dropbox, you then have to check the bottom of the screen inside of the Dropbox. There is a tooltip for a sell all junk button. This button will be used additionally for this method. Now we have to do some difficult inputs, so listen carefully. Before we start, you have to place your cursor on the item stack. When you're trying to sell this, you have to hold down your sell all junk button. So on Xbox and PlayStation, hold down your right thumbstick, and on PC, hold down the G key. Additionally to holding this key or button, you have to press the sell button now. The sell button on PC, of course, is a left click on the item stack you want to sell. On Xbox you have to press A, and on PlayStation you have to press X. So on PC just hold G and make a left click on the stack. On Xbox hold the right stick, press A. On PlayStation hold R3 and press X. So on PC you make a left click on the item you want to sell anyway, and on consoles you also have to make sure that the cursor is still placed on the item stack when you press it. Now you will see the selling menu with the slider appear, and you can release all the buttons you have just pressed or hold. You can release everything. In step 2 we only adjust the number of items we want to sell, because this is really important. Set the slider all the way to maximum, but then reduce the amount by 1. If you have 100 you sell 99. If you have 1000 you sell 999. So this method will only work for stackable junk items with a minimum stack of 2. But by creating millions of items, you will simply get infinite money from them. When you confirm the sell, you also have to make sure that your cursor is still placed on the item stack. That is especially important on consoles because you will likely use your thumbsticks to adjust the amount, so make sure you place your cursor back on the item stack and confirm the sell. The selling junk menu will now immediately appear. The volume of the junk is only displayed as one item, but don't worry, it will just duplicate your entire stack if you confirm it. Just press confirm, and now on the right side you should see the double amount of items than before. Make sure that the items on the right side are in the buyback tab, because when they are in the buyback tab you can simply get them back for free. You won't have to pay for anything, you will just double up your items and the machine only gets back its original money. So you basically increase your money by increasing your items on your side, but you won't have to pay for them. Now you simply buy back all the items from the buyback tab, which will cost you no money. The machine will only get back its original money, so you don't lose anything, but you will double up your items. Now you simply duplicate your stack of items again and again until you reach the limit of the machine. The game will tell you that the machine has not enough money to buy your items. That is when you reach the limit. Now you can just sell all your items except for a few and exit the machine. Now just wait for 24 hours to refill the Dropbox money. After you skip time, the Dropbox will have refilled its money. Please be aware that when you just started the game, the Dropbox might have considerably less, maybe just 20 or 40,000. But that doesn't matter since you can simply skip time to refill it. When you now start duplicating your items again, it can happen that they are pushed in the wrong tab. In order to solve that, simply save your game, exit it and reload that save file. After you reloaded that save file and you try the duplication again, they will be moved again in the correct tab. You can also go to another Dropbox or change the item to fix this problem. But it is easily solvable by reloading your save and you don't have to worry about it. This method can also be used to get infinite amounts of components, because you can simply dismantle all your millions of junk items to get millions of common components. And these millions of common components can then be crafted to the next higher rarity of components, so we'll get a lot of uncommon components out of it. And then we just simply craft the next tier, the rare components and then the epic components, and we end up with a ton of legendary components at our hands with absolute zero effort. So you can really abuse this not only for money but also for infinite crafting materials of any sort. So even if the Dropboxes in patch 2.0 have significantly more money and it is now much easier to convert everything back to money, I would rather create big stacks of junk items and then decide whether I need more components or more money. And more money is actually not needed at all, since you can simply pay every vendor with your junk, or at least get your money back after you purchase something, then just sell all the junk to get the money back. So if you just duplicate your junk items, you will store the value in these items forever and you can use them and decide whenever you want to use them what you want to do with them. And if you want to create even bigger stacks, you can also just temporarily lend the vendor your money by simply buying something. So you can create even bigger stacks with more junk, more money, more components, more everything. The stack size is only limited to what the vendor can afford to buy from you. I hope this video was really helpful. Please don't forget to subscribe, leave me a like and see you next time.